Golly, can't even come up with his name. See, I'm getting senile.
Hmm. Well, we're about live. What's
Oh,
holding you
we are.
back?
We're back. Woohoo! Oh my gosh, we're here again. You know, I, I'm just like, what's holding me back? About to go. I think sometimes life gets in the way. And that, for me, life getting in the way is, like five or six different things. And what we always say to everyone else is basically, it's not what's going to happen to you, it's how you're going to deal with it. So in your life, think about what are the things holding you back. A lot of times it's fear hold you back from making decisions that, oh, I'm going to do the wrong decision, or what if, or the phobia, the fear of missing out, FOMO, I guess. All these things, what's holding people back from getting what they want? Um, and I say some of it's just laziness, I would say, uh, and not willing to do the work it takes to get where you want to go. I mean, we know you, Scott, just kick behind every day, and but uh, what's holding you back? Are you getting yourself burnt out? Are you taking the rest you need? There's so many things that's involved in what's holding people back. So, what I want everybody to do today is kind of write down, what do you think the things that are holding you back, and are they really holding you back, or is it just, you know, what is the answer? So, it, I think we can always just go back to the well-formed outcome. What do you want, and what are you doing to get there? And if you're not doing the things, and another thing that sometimes what's holding you back is getting someone to help. So it's okay to ask for help from someone else. Like, you can get a mentor, or you can hire somebody else to do the things you're not good at, or take that step and just, start. Each thing you get done takes a little bit off your shoulder. So I did a lot there. Just go on, Scott. You go on, then I'll come back. I'm just talking too much here.
Well, what's going on, guys? How you doing? Welcome back. If you guys have any questions or want to know more about the journey that Jeff and I are both on, just go ahead and leave a comment down below. We'll answer those in the next week. Actually, the more interaction that we get, the easier it'll be to come up with content every single week. So basically, how it works now is that Jeff and I hop on a call, like 5 minutes before we go live, and like, oh, what do you want to talk about? What do you want to talk about? And it's like we know so many different things, and it's like, how can we keep things fresh? But we're here every single week, and we're talking about different things, and well, we can spice things up, with some feedback from everybody else who's participating, or share, or tell a friend, or something like that. And you know, when I was creating the title for what I wanted to talk about this week, I wanted to talk about persistence. Maybe something's not really holding you back. It's just it's going to take a little bit longer than what you had thought about to get to it. And we also talk about the things that, you could be holding back from, doing, whatever the goal is, right? So if you don't take a leap of faith or work towards your goals every single day, then you'll just be doing the same thing. And if you're happy doing the same thing, there's nothing wrong with that. But if you have goals or aspirations or want to reach outside of where you're at now, you have to get outside your comfort zone. Anytime that we have to learn to, we want to go places we've never been, we have to learn things that we've never done before. So that will be uncomfortable. It'll only be uncomfortable until you've learned it. And if you don't get your reps in, then you'll never be able to do it. Like if you wanted to, lift more weight, or look like Arnold Schwarzenegger in the gym or something, it's not like you'd be able to do that tomorrow. In fact, you'd have to find a person that looks like that and be like, hey man, what are you doing? How can I get like that? And it's not like you could just flip a coin or turn a switch on and then you look like that tomorrow. No, it's a lifestyle. It's like, well, wherever you're at now is all the actions and things that have happened in your life to put you where you're at now, which is fine as long as you realize that you can take yourself out of that as well. And maybe some people could be holding them back for financial reasons. Well, um, I have one thing to say to that, and basically nobody's getting out of this life alive, right? Like so live the life that you want to live, and we could talk about regret too. There's two different types of regret. When people are on their deathbed and they look back at their life, there's a regret of, not doing the things, not pushing themselves all the way to the limit and trying different things, and then you can't take that back, right? And what's the other regret, Jeff?
Okay, so one regret is when the regret of what you did. Oh, I made a mistake. And the other one is the regret of what I didn't do. So I wish I would have done this. I wish I would have done that. I could have done this, but I didn't. And a lot of times that is fear of, they wanted to do something, but they were too fearful of doing it and they took the other route. But the thing about taking that jump, okay, you were talking about money or whatever, taking that jump even when you don't have the money, you learn from those mistakes, or because we call them mistakes at first, but we
Yeah.
actually later on take that word away because it weren't a mistake. It was just a learning experience. And the thing is, we don't ever set out, or most people never ever set out to do the wrong thing. It just turns out to be not what they expected.
You kind of have to do the wrong thing to figure out what
Well,
the right thing is, right?
right, because till you understand, you have to make those learning experiences. And if you really thought about it, one of the things I do in my sessions is basically teach everybody that they've never really made a mistake. They just did an action at that point what they thought was best in their mind. So they were a lot of times people go towards pleasure and away from pain. That's kind of how humans work. So they're making that right decision for them at that moment. And it does, and maybe it turns out not so good later on. But what that does, you learn from it and then you can learn from that. Now, let's just say you didn't take that action. You'll never learn what that could have taught you.
Yeah, if
So
you don't have the data to analyze, then you'll never be able to correct.
So, so sometimes it's okay to take that leap. I can tell you this week, I have learned so much about so many things because this is one of those weeks that for me, it's been a little trying. One of my vehicles needs a new transmission. My convertible needs a new thing on my lift on my convertible. My other van needs a new tune-up, and I had to put a starter, had somebody put a starter in it and a new battery. And I had to put a new battery in my convertible too. And I'm talking in this month. And my air conditioning, two of them, well, were winky, and then another one of my air conditioners have to get a new one. So there's three things. And then now even taxes are coming up. So and stocks went down, just all this stuff. And yet, what I tell most people, you're still here, right? So no matter what happens to you in life, you're still here.
So
I
it's
mean, you've
basically
lived
fear.
to this moment. And what you said earlier is what I say to a lot of people too. It's every decision you ever made has put you where you are now. And if you can choose to stay there or you can choose to go somewhere else, but doing the same thing over and over and again and expecting a different result, it's not usually going to happen. We call that kind of insanity. So if you want to go a different route, you're going to have to do different things. If it's always the same thing, I've gone way out of my comfort zone this week. I have studied and studied and studied. I'm still not 100% on some of this. Oh, and also my hot tub went out. So I've got to, but sometimes, like I said, you can get other people. So I've hired a person who fixes hot tubs to do that. I've hired mechanics to do the other stuff. And then I've got to figure out my accountant thing. That's another decision. And we made the decision, both of us, Scott and I, to show up here today, even though he's got 10,000 things on his plate and I got 10,000 things on my plate. And so again, back to the where we started, what's holding you back? I mean,
I mean, yeah, here's an exercise, right? Like you can write down all the things or all the reasons why something could be holding you back, and with that exercise, follow that to the most extreme extent. Like, what is the worst possible thing that can happen from each individual thing that you write down? And then ask yourself, if you had put your best foot forward, would, well, number one, would those things actually happen? And number two, if you had put your best foot forward in those things happen, would you be able to live with yourself? Right? Because here's how I look at it. If I'm out there doing the best that I can do and reaching towards and striving towards my goals and I end up homeless tomorrow, I would still be okay with it because I gave it my all. Like I gave it everything that I had. And if you can get rid of that fear, then you'll be, better off. It's clouding your judgment. All these things that you're, these scenarios that you're probably running in your head are holding you back from where you want to be. And realizing that if you actually did the things, even if you started little, like, oh, I don't want to get on stage and talk to these people. It's going to be horrible. All these people are going to point and laugh at me. I'm going to go viral. Like the worst things in the world are going to happen. But what if you got up there and none of that stuff actually happened? And then people came up to you and they were like, oh, not too bad for your first time, or that was great. I learned a lot, or whatever the case may be. Like you could be playing out these scary movies in your head that don't have anything to do with, aren't attached to reality at all. And there's one thing I like to think about, or a friend of mine that I used to have, I don't talk to him anymore, but he was a people pleaser, right? Like he would change who he was to try and make the other person in front of him happy. Like I was like, why can't you just be you? And then whoever likes who you are will attract to you. Otherwise, you're kind of like lying to other people by being something different every time you run into somebody, and it's not even fair to the other people that are interacting with you because they don't know who you are. Now, if you were just, yourself, and then, if somebody didn't like it, and that's another thing too, if you're going to put yourself on a platform, or if you want to build a company, or if you want to go anywhere or have anything worth meaning in life, not everybody's going to freaking agree with you. In fact, the more compelling you can be, and the more you can double down on whatever your beliefs are, you're going to attract a lot of people that like those beliefs and repel people that don't. And me, I'm more than fine with that. I am okay. Like, in fact, I even have rougher and harsher conversations with people I meet for the first time just to see what their boundaries are. And if it doesn't bother them how I talk, then I know they're good to keep moving forward. Or if they're like snowflakes or eggshells or whatever, they're just going to get offended with anything that you say. And do you really want? I don't want that in my life. I lived where I was afraid to, like landmines every time I went somewhere. Oh, is someone not going to like that? Someone not going to like that? Is someone not going to like that? Well, screw all that. I'm just going to be me. And if it blows up, all right, fine. At least I figured out faster, like who belongs there and who doesn't. And it goes back to what Jeff was saying earlier. If you don't, go through and take the risk or do the action or whatever, then you have no data to analyze. In fact, what I say is go out and do as much as you can, as fast as you can, so you have more data to analyze and do that even, scale up even more. Like, and that'll be able to get you to where you want even faster. Now, I realize that, these are all baby steps, and sometimes you can get hypnotized and all of a sudden you become somebody else the next day, which is great. And it doesn't really happen for everybody, but it could be you. It could be you. You could be like, I'm sick of going to this job and I'm going to do whatever it takes to be a hairstylist or an actor or whatever the hell you want to be. Like how much are you doubling down? Do you have the persistence? Do you have the drive? And do you have whatever it takes to be able to make that happen? Now, I'm noticing with some people that I see in the younger generation is that they'll see something on TikTok or YouTube, social media somewhere, and they'll be like, "Oh, that'd be great if that was me," and not realizing, how much work went into it. Like, how bad do you want that to be you? Are you willing to put in the work? Do you understand that you don't have the skills yet that it takes to be what that is, because somebody else who's probably doing that for years made it look so easy. They made it look easy because they've been up on stage, or they've been doing that task for I don't know how long, right? And it just brings me back to this stupid freaking interview of this girl who wanted to, like, attack Cat Williams, and she wasn't a professional comedian. She was amateur or whatever. You can look this up online. But anyway, she decides that she's going to go in on Cat Williams. Now, I don't know what you know about comedy life or being on stage or being heckled, and then to be like successful or grow from that. Somebody has the scars. Somebody doesn't care if you talk bad to them. Does they're comedians, right? Like they take whatever you got and flip it. That's what they do for a freaking living. And to be successful, to be have a Netflix series, to all this stuff, right? So the girl goes in on him, and he hammers this girl so bad to the point where her husband draws a gun on him in the parking lot afterwards. So again, it's one of those things where you think you know what you're doing and then you F around and find out. Well, then she was in the find out part on live on the radio, right? So just keep that in mind too. Just realize that whatever you're working towards, it doesn't happen overnight. Not all the time. Not everybody's an overnight success. What do they, how many years do they say it takes to be an overnight
10
success?
years. 10 years overnight success. Um, it's just getting that one break. And here's another thing, guys. If you, with that said, is build yourself and build what you're whatever you're trying to sell or whatever. Build. You got to build yourself first if you're going to keep yourself going. But whatever your brand is and whatever your stuff, keep it, straight and keep it going. Like Scott once said, he said, be yourself. And because if you're not yourself, you'll change. You look like you can be a chameleon and change around, but a lot of times you'll never remember what chameleon you changed to. So it's kind of like a
Who was
liar.
I at that point?
But
What
what
was
I was
what was the
saying,
story when
so uh, So, so if you can be consistent who you are and keep on that road, and like Scott was saying, is that people will fall off. They pretty soon you'll get your own tribe, the people who want to be with you and who can take whatever you are and keep, you know, your attitude, be the best you can be, and work on yourself. Are you If you don't believe in yourself, you're going to lose self-esteem and it's going to be harder to be yourself after a while. I always say, don't be somebody else. They're already taken. Be yourself and do the best at that every day. I would go back to the four agreements, and basically, you can look it up. But the most thing is, don't take things personally. When someone says something about you, it's about them, what they're saying. So don't take things personally. Don't assume. To be your best you, and be true to your word. So keep a consistent thing. And what's holding you back is maybe it's self confidence. Maybe it's other people. Maybe you need to ask for help from somebody. Maybe it's good to do what you do best and let the others do the rest. Maybe it's motivation. Maybe it's fear. There's all of these things. Like Scott was great. Write it down and go to the extreme. And what would this really do? Like a lot of people think you walk out in public and everybody's looking at you. Hardly anybody's looking at you. They don't care what you dress like. They don't care. They're in their own little world. They're not really even thinking about you. And Scott also said, which was good, is that you think it's going to turn out so bad if this, and it really hardly ever turns out that it might not turn out exactly the way you wanted. You had this perfect idea what was going to happen when you made this decision, but it didn't happen exactly the way you want. And you said, no, it turned out wrong. No, it turned out right because you learned, yes, it almost got to where you wanted, but you learned what the next step to make it happen. I've been doing that all week with an air conditioner. It's like I didn't know what I didn't know. This is where the learning comes in. I didn't know that there's two types of plugs for a 220, and if you put the wrong in, you can burn your house down. So you got to make sure you got the right one. And I didn't know that. I didn't know that the electricity, and I didn't know certain measurements you have to have. Or if you're going through a wall, you got to, unless you want to cut the wall.
Jeff's a DIY guy, and I don't think he's learned to hire people to do it.
And after I don't do it, okay, hold on.
I think he's gonna burn his house down and be like, "Well,
Hey,
I should have
hold on,
hired
guys.
somebody."
Hey,
I
there's the
think-
internet. So I just look at the video, and because I believe I'm smart enough, I can get it done. And here's the thing: if you can't get it done, know when to say, "I'm not the one for this," and then you call up somebody and say, "Come fix it," and they do. And no matter most anything, and yes. I would say, Scott's totally true. If you don't know what you're doing with electricity, which I don't, and I'm not 100%, I'm not gonna make that mistake and burn my house down because it's too big a mistake. So definitely get somebody who knows electricity, not yourself, because that's a big deal. So a lot of times that's what they say. Be an optimist most of the time, but if you're a pilot and ice forms on your window and 30 minutes later you're about to leave, check it again and go clean that ice off again because it's too much in stake if it doesn't. But if it's something minor and it doesn't matter which way it goes and it's not going to hurt anybody, then be an optimist. But be a pessimist when you need to be for life and death, always. You know, uh, be careful. Because optimists supposedly live 10 years longer than pessimists. And I'm sorry we got into that, but what's holding you back? It could be that you always think something's going to go wrong. I don't know if you know any people like this, and I do. The first thing you always, if you ask them anything in the world, they say no. They will never say yes to anything. They always say no. And I think it's just they get in the habit. No. Would you do this? No. Well, do you think that's right? No. No. And they just do all negative, and that's who they are. And not necessarily that they can't live that way. It's just, do you want to live that way? And if you see those people, also don't take that personal. When somebody's being that way, whoever they are, when you ever anything you say to anyone, whatever they say back is about them, and whatever you said to them is about you. So yeah, so it could be the people you're hanging around with could be hanging bringing you back too, because they say the five people you hang around with the most, you become the most like. So are you hanging around the right people? So there are many things to think about. What's holding you back? It could be, do you have all the time you got? Are you getting enough rest? Are you again, money? And is it really what you want, what you're looking at? And what are the steps to take it? And do you need help? Do you need to learn something? So again, I always say go back to the well-formed outcome, because then it would give you what you're what's motivating you to do what you want, and what's keeping you back. What's holding you back today?
Well, yeah. How bad do you want it?
Yeah, and when you point one finger at somebody else, three points back at you sometimes.
Oh,
They say, "Well, he's holding me
are
back."
you waiting for someone to hand it to you?
Yeah, it's like,
I had a friend of mine and he said, well, he was really big into like lifting weights and he knew all this stuff about food and everything. And I was like, well, man, why don't you go into look into being a personal trainer? And he said, well, if the opportunity presents itself. So I guess not.
yeah, and I can tell you, and I've done this before, seriously, but you go around. Okay, people go around, they mope and say, "Oh, my car's broke. Oh, this." There wasn't sympathy from somebody, and I go to Scott, and he goes, "How's that working for you?"
I got another friend of mine. He'll complain about what's going on, and I'll be like, "Well, you can either focus on the problem, or you can focus on the solutions. I mean, it's up to you." We still got to deal with what we got to deal with, right? Like,
That brings us back to, it's not what's happening to you, it's just how you're going to deal with it. And um, so a lot of times what you can do when you got like the things that's going on with me or Scott, or we can write them down. What's the most important? And sometimes there's three really important things that we got to do because it's dealing with other people. So even and Scott has to deal with like 10 different people or something like that. And we're dealing with other people when we hire them. And that's going back to business, but in personal life too is which ones are the most important, make for your time. Like one is, are you going to lose money over here? Are you going to lose friends over here? What are you going to do? And you're going to have to figure out some of that and put them in a
Yeah,
hierarchy.
and then you can put this back to scarcity mindset versus abundance mindset. I got a buddy of mine, and he focuses all the gigs he's gonna lose, or if he didn't get that, or this didn't come in this year, or whatever. And I'm like, what the hell? I'm sure I have a bunch of those, but I'm not focused on those. Like 3 years could go by and be like, oh yeah, I guess I didn't get that gig. You know why I don't worry about those? Because I'm always out there chasing new opportunities. Like because I mean, nothing that we can hold on to can we can hold on forever, right? Things will always come up. What do they say? The thing one thing constant is change. Change is always constant. So
Yeah, the one thing
so
we
you can focus on losing or what you've lost or what didn't come in or that's gonna happen. That's business. Everybody has to fucking deal with that. Like that's just what it is. Or you could focus on the new opportunities and then whatever does come back is a I guess they would say was a blessing on top of whatever new opportunities you were chasing, right? So that's how you build. But if you're like scarcity mindset, oh, I got to keep this and I got to do that and I got to do this, like I mean, you could okay. Here's another thing. You could, like a people pleaser, you could change, you could do all this stuff, you could do all this extra work, you should show up extra early, you could do an amazing job, you could do all this shit, all of it. And then the freaking hiring manager moves on or gets fired or is no longer there and doesn't want to deal with it this year and now they got a new hiring manager and you did all that amazing stuff and then now you don't got it this year. So what's gonna happen? Uh, uh, just how much? What's the percentage? Like, I mean, you want to do a great job that they would come back to you, of course, but like uh, bowing down and doing all this other stuff, when there's no guarantee it will come back. And then that's another thing too in the entertainment field is that the narcissistic business owner will scare you into, well, if you don't get that next year, then I won't be able to keep you, and then if you won't have any gigs, and then you'll just never be able to pay your bills, and the end of the world will be here. Or and that's what they do, right? And they pull your strings and they do all this stuff, and um it's disheartening to me to explain to somebody who hasn't lived through it. There's no way I could explain it or have them go through those experiences or even understand the depth of the shit that I went through. Oh, I got a kid. I'm never going to be able to pay these bills. All that shit, right? So I was like, well, fuck, I gotta cut ties with that and then go build something else. And that was like, an 80 grand a year block that I just cut off to go take a leap of faith to do it for myself. And then, well, what was holding me back? Nothing was really holding me back other than the point where it was like, I can't handle this shit no more. Like, like it's gonna give me into an early grave. So I can either deal with, somebody pulling my strings and telling me what to do and telling me I'm not good enough. And well, if you don't do that, then we won't be able to get this. And well, that didn't work. And you're aging out. The newer, younger guys are coming. And what the hell? That's scarcity mindset all day. Or abundance mindset where you're like, well, that fell off. Let's go find something else. Like I'm always constantly looking for something. Oh, that fell off. I didn't even know that was gone. Like I had this wedding venue that like no longer, isn't using us because he is a narcissistic prick, cocksucker. And, yeah.
how do you really feel?
And it was like, well, you better do this or you'll never be able to grow your business. Well, bitch, I still cut you off and I'm still growing my business, like,
I think at the beginning, though, before you
yeah,
get to
okay.
the
Well, what's
Scott's
holding you back
level,
from
let's
from
go all
getting
the way
from where you're
back
at to
and
where I'm at,
let's,
right?
yeah. So let's work on our self confidence. Scott's got plenty of that. So work on that and work on living within your values, and then work. Be if you just do the best you can with what you got each and every day of your life, no one can ask for anything more than that. Okay. So if you do that, more than likely, you're going to achieve something. I don't know what you're going to achieve. And the more you shoot for the stars and the more you have a map to where you want to go, you'll get there faster. It's sort of like if I wanted to get to New York from Texas, if I didn't have a map, it would take me, you know, years. It could take me years to get there without a map. But if I had a Maps Go or a GPS, how to get to New York, we're probably talking maybe a week or so to get there. So the thing is, what do you want to do? Or you could just take a plane, but without a map or a direction you're going, it's going to be a long journey to get somewhere unless you have get that map. So go ask yourself, what do you want? Then in 2 years, what did it take to get there, and then map it out backwards, and you've already got a little bit of a plan how you're going to get there. And I can tell you, just like in a boat or even in a plane, they have to readjust. In a boat you just can't hit any of the big rocks, or if it's too deep or too, I mean, if it's too shallow, you'll wreck your ship. And then in the air you got to go around, lightning, and try to get her out of the storms. And they just adjust a little bit here and a little bit there, and finally they get to the course. But we're always readjusting, and just like those 5 things that came up for 6 things that came up for me this month. Um, it's just readjustment, and it's money, of course, but hopefully you've already made some money that keeps you a cushion that if you need it, and we're still making money. So, but uh, like Scott just last week he bought. What did you buy? You that screen? He bought another
LED wall.
screen. Yeah. So, and that's to make his business go even further. I think I'm going to have to buy another vehicle. I don't know. We'll see. But just keep trudging, because whatever's holding you back, you can usually, if you can't do it, go ask from some advice from other people, and get a friend to help if you can't do something. It doesn't hurt to ask. And then if you can't do it, there's always you can hire somebody else to do it most of the time.
All right. Well, that's pretty much all the time I have for today. And